This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/audio.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman, and you can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. My website is emailrevealer.com. Oh, you can get an autographed copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. And this show is brought to you by GetTheTea.com. So check out GetTheTea.com and this Life Change Tea. Been on it now for about 3 weeks. I'm losing weight. You got a lot of energy in the morning. You don't have to drink coffee anymore. You can save all that money, spend it at Starbucks, that big giant corporation, and help support the Opperman Report. And you get the tea. GetTheTea.com, Life Change Tea. It'll help you with your digestion, weight loss. It's helping me with my complexion for sure. That's an absolute fact. I haven't had clear skins like this in a long, long time. And that's the only change in my diet and my behavior. So GetTheTea.com, Life Change Tea. And if you go to GetTheTea.com, there's all different kinds of supplements and vitamins and all kinds of herbal remedies. So check it out at GetTheTea.com. Okay. We are here today with Pearse Redmond from Porkins Policy Radio, PorkinsPolicyReview.com, and soon to be Open Minds Foundation. He's going to be doing a once a month podcast on Open Minds Foundation. Pearse, are you there?
Yes, I am. It's good to be talking to you again.
Yeah, right. It's always great to have you back, Pearse. Thank you so much. Tell us about what's going on with this Open Minds.
Right. So I've I think probably many of your listeners will be a little bit familiar with it because, of course, you play all my shows. But I've done several episodes with my friend John Atack, who is a writer he's written several novels, but he's also written he wrote one of the two most famous and most important books about Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard. The first book would be Barefaced Messiah by Russell L. Miller, which John actually worked on. And then there's John's book, which is Let's Sell These People a Piece of Blue Sky, which is all about Hubbard, Dianetics, the history of Scientology from Hubbard's early days all the way through to, in the most updated version, all the way through to David Miscavige. But John has also written an excellent book called Opening Minds, which has a larger subtitle, but that's all about basically undue influence, brainwashing, toxic relationships. And John helped found the Open Minds Foundation, which you can go to openmindsfoundation.org is the web address, and you can find a ton of different resources about combating undue influence, cults, manipulation. There's just so many interesting people associated or working for Open Minds. I think you've interviewed him before, Steve Hassan. I think you've had him on your show. He was a former Mooney member. He's written his own books, The Bite Model. He's one of the people, Philip Zimbardo from the Stanford Prison Research. He's on I believe it's on the advisory board at Open Minds. Masood Banistar, who's a member of the MEK. All sorts of really interesting people associated with Open Minds. And anyway, John Atack and I are going to be doing a monthly podcast series I believe we're going. The name of the pod. We haven't ironed everything out, but it'll probably be Open Minds on Air. Will be the name of the podcast series. I'll have a little bit more, and the first episode will be coming out sometime in mid-April, and we'll be doing it monthly. Hopefully, maybe we'll expand that and be doing it more. But there's just a wealth of interesting people that work at Open Minds talking about cults, undue influence, toxic relationships, be they with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or a coworker, or the way that the media and advertising manipulates us. And Open Minds is very much about building up defense mechanisms to coercive relationships and things like that. Really excited to be up of the Open team. Really excited our first episode, which I will probably be sometime in mid-April.
I gotta check this relationship. I gotta check this.
Yeah,
my God, I take my phone off the hook for 1 hour to do a live show last night. I never hit the end. Okay. I have the phone off the hook. Okay, my apologies. Okay. Now, I invited you back on the show because of what was again? We were talking about we were on there together with someone talking about something, and this guy, George Nader, came up, right?
Yeah, I think
Chuck.
Maybe it was with Chuck.
Had to be
on Chuck Excelio. Anyway, this guy. So George Nader is someone that popped up in the news earlier this month. There was there's sort of a big hubbub sort of around the first week in March about George Nader, because it came to light that Nader was in fact a cooperating witness in Mueller's probe. And George Nader is someone some people might be kind of familiar with. He's a well-known sort of fixer. He's a Lebanese American, so he has all sorts of contacts in Lebanon and Middle East. Currently, right now, sort of in hiding. He's sort of escaped or fled to the United Arab Emirates, and he's being granted protection under I think it's Zayed, who's the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and leader of the UAE. We can get to that a little bit later. But anyway, George Nader is known as I said, a type of fixer, very prominent in the 1980s during the Iran-Contra stuff. Nader actually was in Iran in the mid-80s, negotiating with sitting with the Ayatollah. He hung out with members of the Mujahideen. He was a go-between to free American hostages in the mid-1980s. Hezbollah kidnapped a bunch of in Beirut. And it's alleged again that his when he's hanging out in Ayatollah's house, he was in large part negotiating part of the Iran-Contra deal. So he's well known. He is also well known because he was extremely close with Steve Bannon, and he was frequent visitor to the house all throughout 2017. Supposedly, and other people have reported of this. He could just sort of walk in. He didn't have to make an appointment necessarily. Bannon referred to him as one of his best friends, and Nader is the person who actually set up the meeting in the Seychelles between this Russian businessman and Eric Prince of Blackwater and the Council for National Policy, a whole bunch of other nefarious groups that Eric Prince is involved in. Nader is the one that actually set up this infamous meeting, and apparently this is why Mueller wanted to approach George Nader. And apparently this was Nader was caught in Mueller's web just before Trump's inauguration. Nader was I think switching planes just outside of Washington on his way to none other than Mar-a-Lago. And he was approached by Mueller's investigators. His electronics were seized, and then he was allowed to go talk to a lawyer. And then apparently soon thereafter, he decided to be a cooperating witness in this investigation. Now, it also came to light that back in 1985, there was a criminal case against George Nader.
Wait, before we get to that, let me ask a couple of questions. Now, we know he was given immunity by Mueller. Now, but you said now he took off to the UAE. Now, is he planning to come back, or is he gone for good?
I have no idea. This was I think this was first reported in a big way by the Daily Mail. I believe they were the ones that kind of broke the story that he had fled. I don't know if fled is really the right word. I mean, again, right. I find it hard to believe that Mueller didn't know this was going on. I would assume if you are a cooperating witness in an investigation this large, I mean, people are keeping tabs on you. It's kind of amazing he didn't have to revoke his passport.
Right.
You would think someone like that. I mean, you're not allowed to travel around. I mean, he probably wouldn't even really be allowed to travel outside of D.C., I would think, or maybe Arlington or something like that. But apparently, yeah, he got on a plane and flew back to the United Arab Emirates. This was there were rumors that this was sort of at the behest of Mohammed bin Zayed, who wanted to hear firsthand what Nader had actually said to Mueller during these interviews. And just a little bit of clarification, Nader is essentially like the right-hand man to Mohammed bin Zayed. He is a very prominent advisor to Mohammed bin Zayed. I'm fairly sure he's probably registered as a foreign agent acting on behalf of the United Arab Emirates. And there is a larger story also we can get to about the UAE money that was being funneled through Mohammed bin Zayed to George Nader in order to influence certain political decisions against Qatar. And we can get into that a bit later. But he also seems to have fled in part because of the revelation that he was arrested and charged with for child pornography in 1985. Was apparently, I believe this was sort of always a rumor, and it certainly was people were aware that it had happened. But it was not widely known in the media. That became widely known in the media, and then this also led to more revelations, including the fact that he actually spent a year in prison in the Czech Republic for molesting young boys. And after this became public, this is when Nader seems to have fled or left to the Emirates.
Now, where was it that he was arrested for the child porn?
Let me just... he was arrested in 1985 on child pornography charges.
Right.
And I'll provide you with some links that you want to for the listeners. But there is the Intercept. At least I know they're not probably most people's favorite outlet. But they do have the doc sheets, about 9 pages that you can check out on this case. And I believe Nader was convicted of buying having from Holland to his house in D.C. where it was interested. And later, he was never convicted of trial. I believe it was sort of like a technicality type of a thing that he was able to
search. It was dropped on a bad search. Yeah.
So these were dismissed, and that was sort of the end of it. And for a little while, that was sort of story. That he had been, that there was this charge, but that it was dropped, and then that was it. And then it basically came out that I believe it was around like 2004. I'll try to double check. I'm sorry, 2003. Nader was convicted in the Czech Republic of multiple counts of abusing minors, including one, I believe, in a hotel like lobby or something, or like in a back room of a hotel. He actually did spend a year in prison in the Czech Republic because of that.
What he was doing in the Czech Republic time?
No, but I would assume it was probably like lobbying stuff. I mean, he is also, that is sort of what he does. I assume it was some sort of business dealings. in Prague. I'm looking right now. This is from the AP, which I believe is the outlet that actually broke this. Quote, George Nader was convicted by Prague's municipal court of 10 cases of sexually abusing minors and sentenced to a 1-year prison term in May 2003. This is a court spokesman that spoke to the Associated Press. She said the crimes occurred between 1999 and 2002. She said Nader served time in a Prague prison, though it isn't clear how much. He was then ordered expelled. And this is, he apparently was engaged in sexual acts with a 14-year-old boy in a room at the Hilton Hotel in Prague. He was exposing himself. Pretty nasty stuff. And as far as I know, this was not known at all. I mean, that was news to me. So obvious, and I mean that should come as no surprise. I mean these sort of people are able to kind of cover this up, as you can see right there. I mean, even the court, spokesperson for in Prague isn't sure how much time he really served, and then he was just sort of let go and expelled. So some sort of backroom thing in order to get out of there.
So he was arrested in 2003. He was convicted. Yeah. The conviction was 2003.
Convicted in 2003.
So then he would have had to spend his sentence after that, 2004. Let's say he gets out 2005. And then he really lands on his feet because 10 years later, he's walking into the president's country club down there in Mar-a-Lago.
Absolutely. And he's working directly for the Crown Prince of the United Arab Emirates. I mean, that's a pretty cushy job as well.
Yeah, but they do that over there. They got those dancing boys over there in the Middle East, all those Emirates got those, they're all.
Yeah. I mean, they're all, not all, but many of them are pretty sick, degenerate.
No, I think they all do it. I think it's a common thing that they all do it. That they have those dancing boys. You've heard that expression, right?
Yeah, in Afghanistan for sure.
Yeah. So, okay, so, and when you think he got into this inner circle with Trump through Bannon?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really be surprised if Nader wasn't already kind of on that radar. He is. I know that there is this popular conception that Trump is draining the swamp. I think you did I like the title to one of your episodes recently. Straining the swamp.
With Bolton's mustache.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. But, George Nader is, if you were to look up in the dictionary, deep state, you would see a picture of George Nader.
Yeah.
This guy is, totally kind of clued into that kind of, and again, I feel like the term deep state is like lost almost all meaning. But if you're talking about somebody that is, kind of floats around between, government, businesses, lobbying, arms dealers, military contractors, setting up mysterious meetings between Russian businessmen and mercenaries like Eric Prince. I mean, that is, for lack of a better term, a member or an actor operating within the murky background of the deep state. That is George Nader, 100%.
Yeah,
that is his job. He's a fixer.
Yeah, we can't overlook, that Eric Prince right now, he's in litigation right now, where there's witnesses against him who claim that he's committed murders, and these witnesses have been awarded anonymity. They can testify anonymously by the judge. The judge considers their affidavits so credible that he's allowing them to remain anonymous in this lawsuit as witnesses against Eric Prince because he's a danger to them.
Mm-hmm.
This is very uncommon. This is something that happens all the time, so people got to keep that in mind about Eric Prince too. Now back to this Nader guy. He had to have had intelligence connections too, as well, to be negotiating back and forth with Hamas and Hezbollah, all this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
no, he definitely has deep connections all over the Middle East. I mean, that is his primary focus. Is acting as a fixer, mainly in that region. I mean, that's why he's the advisor to the head of the UAE. That's how he was able to, hang out with the Ayatollah in his house. Remember that evil Ayatollah that had to go and was so horrible that we were buying guns from and stuff. Yeah. But and the same goes for Hezbollah. The same goes for any of his connections. And this is, again, in part, I think, how he was able to set up, meetings like this in the Seychelles.
Now, do we know if he's cooperating with Mueller, but do we know if it's anything besides this meeting down in Seychelles? What else could he be talking to Mueller about?
I'm not. Well, I mean, he could probably be talking to Mueller about a whole lot of things. Yeah. There is also, there's another little scandal that has sort of erupted as well, linked to this. There is Elliot Broidy is a big GOP fundraiser, and he gave a huge amount of money to Donald Trump. His emails have been leaked recently. Now, Broidy is alleging that Qatar hacked his emails and released a bunch of them, and he's actually filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court in Los Angeles accusing Qatar and its agents of hacking into his and his wife's emails and providing stolen documents to media outlets in order to damage his career. Now, this is also kind of part of this whole story because it turns out that money from the United Arab Emirates was funneled using George Nader as an intermediary to Elliot Broidy. So I think it was some $2.5 million given to Broidy. And this was basically Nader said, I'm going to create an invoice and charge me $2.5 million for whole things and things like that. He did that. The money was transferred to a Canadian company, as a third party, directly into George Nader's bank account. Into Elliot Broidy's bank account. And then from there, Broidy began lobbying very heavily against Qatar. He built, he had this big sort of anti-Qatar conference that was hosted by the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, which is one of the most prominent neoconservative think tanks, very influential. They run the Long War Journal, which is an excellent blog, albeit run by some lunatics. They hosted this event, and then shortly thereafter, Ed Royce, who chairs the House Foreign Affairs Committee in Congress, he introduced this very extreme bill calling Qatar, the biggest exporter of terrorism, calling for really extreme sanctions against Qatar. And for a while now, Ed Royce had been receiving money from Broidy. So he was Broidy after he got this a dump of money from the United Arab Emirates, and also in this timeline, Broidy is given this money. Broidy puts on this conference. Broidy starts lobbying other members of Congress to go after Qatar. And then immediately following that, the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia actually declare their blockade of Qatar, right. Stopping food from coming in, isolating them, economic sanctions against various leaders of Qatar. So this is all kind of timed together. Now, Nader is definitely clued into this. This also kind of fits in the general timeline of, the Qatari government was going to help bail out Kushner and some of his real estate deals. There's the big building like 666 Fifth Avenue or 6th Avenue. I can't remember where it is. It's Fifth Avenue. Fifth Avenue, right. Qatar was originally going to help Kushner, be insolvent there. He was up to debt. Qatar actually backed out, and Kushner being chilled, got very upset to kind of help to push for more sanctions toward Qatar. That's failing belief Washington. And so keep in mind, Nader was attended a very important meeting that this is December 2016 in Trump Tower Nader was there. So was Steve Bannon. So was Jared Kushner. And Mohammed bin Zayed, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and the de facto leader of the United Arab Emirates. So conceivably, Nader could also have information about this. I mean, now I don't know. I don't know if Mueller wants to kind of go down that road, because that again also opens up. There's lots of questions. I mean, this is nothing totally new in the world of shady DC politics. A foreign country giving money through an intermediary, and that goes to a big fundraiser who starts doling the money out, and to influence politics and geopolitics around the world. I don't know if Mueller wants to kind of open up that can of worms, because that's going to get a lot of people in trouble. But that is certainly something that's going on right now.
Yeah, the only thing new about it is there's someone actually investigating it.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing new about it is that the media is sort of widely reporting on it.
Yeah. Hey, listen,
because everybody hates Trump.
Yeah, we got to take a break, though. We got to take a commercial break. We're here with Pearse Redmond from Porkins Policy Radio and PorkinsPolicyReview.com. And also, too, he's going to be starting on Open Minds Foundation, a once-a-month blog coming up. So we'll be right back with more Pearse Redmond after these messages.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions. But do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99. And now a word from our sponsors.
Hi folks, Ronnie here from Life Change Tea. There's a lot of hubbub about the ramifications of GMOs. First of all, what are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms. Yee! Man-made organisms entering our body, changing and damaging us from the inside out. What's our defense? First of all, not eating them. Second, cleansing from them when we do eat them. Thank God for Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea cleanses from toxins, heavy metals, and helps flush GMOs out of your body. Our unique blend of herbs help cleanse you from the inside out, helping you feel refreshed and clean of yee. We also carry unique one-of-a-kind supplements. So order online at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Rid yourself of the yee that contaminates your food and water. Go to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Get the tea, your best defense.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subhash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company. They're located in India, so you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service. They offer all sorts of business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshoring, research network, customer care, press release, content writing and distribution, and much, much more. Now, you can get a hold of Subhash Technosis by email at info@subhashtechnosis.com. Their website is www.subhashtechnosis.com, and their Skype is ANUSHASUBASH. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You also do all those kind of different services for you. Online dating service investigations called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, gambling websites,
and even prescription drug websites, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. We're here with Pearse Redmond from Porkins Policy Review and Porkins Policy Radio. You can hear him Friday nights, 8 p.m. on American... anyway, on all the stations, People's Internet Radio, PIR, Awake Radio. And then he's on Tuesdays. You can catch him live on American Freedom Radio.
Yeah. Wait, actually, Ed, am I on at 8 o'clock on Awake?
Yeah.
Really? I've been telling people 10 to 12.
Oh, well, let me think. No, I'm over at 7 to 8. Well, my time,
okay.
Yeah,
right. So I think that is actually 10 to
about 11 o'clock
my
time.
Yeah. Okay, all right, okay.
Now, you mentioned the 666 Fifth Avenue. So have you ever been to that building? They have this exhibit in there, this attraction, where they have the whole city of New York miniaturized. Do you know that?
I've not been to the building. I mean, I might have when I was like a kid.
Yeah.
But I haven't been there since. Although I should. I mean, it is prominentely featured in all of these scandals.
When you live in New York, you never go anywhere, though. You never go.
No, I know exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you never go to these places. But it is fascinating. They have this attraction in there where you go through there, and the whole city of New York is miniaturized, and you can little. It's really elaborate too. There's a link online. You can check it out. Now, all this money from the Qatar, do we know if any of this money, or for the Arab AEU, has any of this money actually filtered through to the Trump campaign that we know of?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think my general sense is that the money was not meant to actually kind of filter into, let's say, Donald Trump's pocket directly. And let me just, I'll be kind of clear, or a little bit clearer about this, because I know it can be a little confusing. April 2nd, 2017, Nader told Brody to invoice his Dubai-based company $2.5 million. Okay, and this was, going to be for whatever consultancy fees, marketing and advisory service. They come up with whatever kind of silly thing. Roger Stone, very, very famous for doing these sorts of things in order to get money. Then the same day, Brody attached an invoice for that amount to Zeman Invest Limited, which is a Canadian company, which is directed by a friend of Brady's. Then forwarded his account in Los Angeles, Zeman Limited. And then basically Brady kind of went on this sort of like spending spree with the money. So he, I believe he gave some of this money went towards, lobbying various people in Washington against Qatar. He might have even made some of that money might have, or it's not clear exactly where the money went, but certainly, I mean, he was giving money to Ed Royce, head of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. And a lot of this money also went to this conference on Qatar's ties to the Muslim Brotherhood and basically, portraying Qatar as a state sponsor of terrorism. And Royce appeared at this conference shortly after going after Qatar. As I said, the Foundation of Democracies, they hosted this conference, which might have actually been breaking their own rules, because FDD claims that they never, as part of the policy, taken from foreign governments. Well, that doesn't really seem to be the case. Now, I don't think any of the money, like I said, went direct to Donald Trump, but it certainly helped in crafting this narrative of Qatar as evil. It gave them a room so that when the UAE and Saudi Arabia launched travel and trade restrictions against Qatar, 2 weeks after he introduced his sanctions legislation, which again came just after he was at this conference funded by the UAE, essentially. So I don't think it is money that went there. My sense is that sort of a you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. I'm sure the UAE now sees that, well, Donald Trump is in their pocket or is willing to kind of play along with this. We will offer him whatever he wants down the road. That's sort of how I see. This is classic sort of like influence peddling. This is allowed to kind of go on, and now suddenly Qatar is the bad guy. The UAE, they want that, and the UAE is certainly trying to become a bigger player regionally in the Middle East, along with Saudi Arabia. Again, that's why the UAE hired to build up their own sort of clandestine army that is being funded by the UAE and is supposedly headed by Eric Prince. So they are trying to kind of prop themselves up. But my sense is that, this is just sort of, eventually this will lead to Donald Trump being rich at some point. No, maybe the UAE is going to allow 666 Fifth Avenue. Again, is this is maybe nothing more than just simple revenge? Trump and Kushner are in a car for not helping his idiot son-in-law. So, the UAE kind of pushed this along, and now Qatar is very isolated around the world. So I don't know. But I think there's any of this money directly went there. But I think it's really how it's worth about. Okay, you helped us do this, and help you later on. Not to mention that just in what you have as a foreign government authorizing a convicted pedophile to wire money to a major donor of Donald Trump's and the GOP in order to put on a big conference, congressmen and senators and influence peddlers in Washington D.C. to isolate a foreign country because we don't like them. And I know I keep kind of jumping back to this, but because they upset Donald Trump's idiot son-in-law, and there's obviously more reasons as well. But that is pretty crazy.
It's interesting that the media is totally silent on the child porn and the other than the Intercept. Like you said, they're totally silent on this. Even now, when they mention Nader, occasionally they just mention these cooperating mule. They don't mention anything about a child porn conviction. Arrest and in the Czechoslovakia. That's Yeah,
I mean, it's basically, like I said, the Intercept reported on it. The AP, to their credit, I know they're they're as mainstream and as you can get. They all the are help from the story. He was in fact arrested and sentenced for child molestation in the Czech Republic. So, but yeah, and also you have this sort of Trump fanatics, the QAnon, anti-pedo crowd that doesn't really seem to understand how what this is. You see some of them saying basically ignoring it, like it's not happening or it's okay. He was just close to this despicable human being Nader in order to later get the rest of the pedos. You know what I mean? Like that. This sort of like, oh well, he only hired all these Goldman Sachs executives because he has to crutch the deep, keep your enemies closer. Right. This sort of nonsense. Then there are people like Mike Cernovich and others who just they don't understand how could this happen. Obviously the deep state tricked Trump. Or Trump didn't know. We have questions. Why was Bannon hanging out with him? And it's like, well, as you've reported, Ed, Bannon's meth house, film and pornography, may be involved in human traffic. I mean, this is the kind of person that Bannon does hang out with. I mean, he's not a nice person at all. So I don't think Bannon has any qualms about hanging out with George Nader. And if someone would know about Nader's past, it would be someone like Stanton. For whatever you want to say, I mean, he is a clever person. I think he is fairly into this sort of shadowy world of fixers and things like that. So I mean, I think if anything, there's just more indication that this sort of myth around Trump as some sort of defender of children and going after these despicable people is completely. Even if Roseanne Barr, tweeted about Trump is like all those.
Oh my God.
You listen, but moronic celebrity, go for it. But we've been down this route, particularly multiple times with Roseanne Barr, who is a lunatic. Yeah. So if you want to trust her and QAnon, go for it. But I think the actual evidence points somewhere else. I pointed out on Twitter when the Nader story broke. I mean, this is yet another instance of Donald Trump, or at least people close to Donald Trump, hanging out with pedophiles. And not even hanging out with them. I mean, Nader is helping craft policy, or he's shaping policy. What were him, Bannon, doing talking in all the meetings? What was Nader doing at meetings at Trump Tower? What was he doing flying to Mar-a-Lago before Mueller intercepted? I mean, again, it's like all of these moments where Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein are together. I don't think they were just talking about the weather or baseball. That's not to say that Nader and Trump were talking about hurting children or something. But again, I don't think it was just a benign conversation, and I'm not at all surprised that Nader pops up in this, because this, I think, is just kind of par for the course with the Trump administration. And none of this is like new information. All of Washington kind of operates like this. The difference here is that, for whatever reason, when it comes to the Trump administration, they're so sloppy at it, or they're so brazen that we're more aware of it. I think there's also, to a degree, the media despises him so much, or they just know that they can sell newspapers and stuff by talking about him. They're also reporting on this way more. You know what I mean? Like, if this were Bill Clinton or George Bush or Obama, maybe you would hear little rumblings, it would be a little blurb somewhere, in the back page of the Washington Post or something like that. But when it comes to Trump, it's front page news. So I think the media is a little bit more willing to kind of report on this. But at the same time, I find that a lot of these people orbiting Trump are sloppy at this. You know what I mean? Furthermore, does the Secret Service or and the people in charge of security at the White House, do they not check for who's coming in? I mean, that in and of itself is odd. Can most people convicted of pedophilia in a foreign country and at least charged with importing child pornography? And again, let's be clear, it's not as if the charges were Nader for sure imported child pornography. The case got dropped because the police screwed up, but there's no doubt that he, it definitely, these magazines went to his house.
Well, wait, not only that, too.
There's no doubt about it.
I don't even know how the police screwed up, because the first batch of, I read that, the first batch of porn they picked up legit. It wasn't until they searched that bedroom. He was renting a room in a house. In the 80s, what the hell was this? This guy's meeting the Khomeini the next day, and he's renting a room.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, but what do you call it? I know for a fact that before you can even get a photograph taken with the candidate, if you just want to have your photo taken with the president at a campaign rally, they get your date of birth and they run your criminal record right there, and that arrest would absolutely 100% show up. So I don't know about a Czech Republic a conviction. It would show up in Interpol. That would show up too. So
I would think so.
Yeah.
Do your due diligence. If it doesn't show, reach out to Interpol.
But if we're going to say
reach
that
out to anybody.
Oh no, I'm sure they checked it out. They knew about it. They just overlooked it. But the thing is with Bannon too. He had a film company. His wife had a film company. She was like some Irish model and all kind of stuff like that. But there's no doubt that they were filming pornography in that home, and that they had, I don't know if you listened to the show in the member section, but they had padlocks on the inside of the house. And they even talked about human trafficking in Palm Beach connected to that house. And she was arrested for sneaking a cell phone and marijuana to her boyfriend in jail. So it's not even like 1 degree of 6 degrees of separation. This is like, this is their crew. This is their bunch that are involved in all this sleaze and porn and rape culture, And by the way, what's her name? Roseanne Barr. Everyone knows she's been crazy for a long time. I even tried to get her to come on the show, but she ran for on the ticket with Cindy Sheehan when Cindy Sheehan ran for president, and she ran as a socialist. Did you know that? Yeah. And she didn't even know. She was telling Cindy Sheehan, "Teach me how to be a socialist." She was telling her, and now here she is. She's a Trump supporter. So it's just like whatever way the wind blows, But I guess she knows where her bread is buttered, And
totally. She was very critical of Israel and very supportive of Palestinian rights until she became the most ardent Hollywood Zionist. I mean, she openly applauds when Palestinians are murdered. Oh. She thinks that's a good thing. I mean, she is a complete and utter lunatic when it comes to that kind of stuff. And again, she goes on and talking about MK Ultra, and again, I'm not doubting that a program didn't exist or in some capacity right now, but Roseanne Barr is just a classic, one of these celebrities that kind of, talks a little bit about conspiracy theories, not with any real sort of knowledge, but just mentions them. And again, so many people in the conspiracy culture, in spite of their, screw Hollywood and they're all phony plastic people, anytime a celebrity, Charlie Sheen, Roseanne Barr, any of they mention something and suddenly we fawn over them. Yeah. Roseanne Barr is oh my God, this is our Messiah. She's gonna bring about change because she's a celebrity and she has the power. She's a joke. Yeah, she's an absolute joke.
Tia Tequila,
excellent example. Yeah, exactly.
Who constantly, by the way, never really says what she knows. She just keeps talking about she knows so much, and she's but she never actually comes right out and says what it is. And her train of thought is just a typical schizophrenic circular logic. But we got to take another commercial break. We're here with Pearse Redmond. Talking about what is the topic at this point? We can't even figure it out. It's just a general wacky.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Hi folks, Ronnie here from Life Change Tea. There's a lot of hubbub about the ramifications of GMOs. First of all, what are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms. Yee! Man-made organisms entering our body, changing and damaging us from the inside out. What's our defense? First of all, not eating them. Second, cleansing from them when we do eat them. Thank God for Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea cleanses from toxins, heavy metals, and helps flush GMOs out of your body. Our unique blend of herbs help cleanse you from the inside out, helping you feel refreshed and clean of yee. We also carry unique one-of-a-kind supplements. So order online at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Rid yourself of the yee that contaminates your food and water. Go to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Get the Tea, your best defense.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subhash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company. They're located in India, so you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service. They offer all sorts of business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshoring, research network, customer care, press release, content writing and distribution, and much, much more. Now, you can get a hold of Subhash Technosis by email at info@subhashtechnosis.com. Their website is www.subhashtechnosis.com, and their Skype is ANUSHASUBASH. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You also do all the kind of different services for you. Online dating service investigations called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman, and we're here with Pearse Redmond of Porkins Policy Review and Porkins Policy Radio, and soon to be Open Minds Foundation. Hey, real quick, though, we're talking about Tia Tequila. Tia Tequila, her agent was Gina Rodriguez, the same agent for Stormy Daniels. Okay.
Of course.
And the night that Tia Tequila overdosed, she got back from the hospital. They gave her a bag full of pills to take. And the night she overdosed, and they had to take her in there, she had that brain aneurysm, I was involved in that whole thing. that the same woman who outsmarted Trump and Michael Cohen could not get the cops to go to Tia Tequila's house to do a well check without my intervention. So it just goes on. I know, it just goes on to show you how crazy this all is, and it's all 6 degrees of separation. We've only got about 10 minutes left, brother. Have you been following this thing with the Pulse nightclub down here in Florida?
Just a little bit. I should probably look a little bit closer into it. I mean, it's. I don't know if I don't really know what to make of it. I mean, it is pretty amazing that Mateen's father was an FBI informant for many years, right?
Yeah, 11 years, and then his handler was the guy who investigated his son when all the complaints were coming in about his son bragging to all his relatives and his neighbors and stuff about how he's a terrorist.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, again, I hate always jumping to the it's all a false flag or something.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there definitely seems to be something going on here. I mean, Mateen's wife, I mean, they cleared her, right? I mean, that's kind of a big deal.
She was acquitted yesterday, yeah. Not even 24 hours
that's
ago.
not nothing. I mean, again, that's the mainstream media can cover that however they want, but I mean that is a serious statement that she really didn't know anything or wasn't couldn't be convicted of this, and the fact. I mean, listen, if Omar Mateen's father is a 11-year FBI informant, and at that point he's not an informant, he's an FBI agent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's working directly for the FBI. That's his main source of income. If that's true and the FBI knew about this, and I mean, it does raise serious questions about how they weren't able to stop Mateen from doing what he did. Is his father still alive?
Yeah, his father's still alive. And he still gets money from Voice of America for his TV show that he does, So the guy's mostly CIA. The guy's obviously CIA. Oh, by the way, Daniel Hopsicker connected him to that guy, Rohenbacher. From California, who's involved in everything, it seems to be. We got to take a good deep look at that guy.
Dana Rohrabacher?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of course. He fought in Afghanistan with the Mujahideen.
Well, he was photographed next to this guy, Mateen's father.
Okay.
Sadiq. And then Sadiq also shows up behind Hillary at a Hillary campaign. Then he's out in front with a Hillary poster. Oh, my God. What is going on here?
Yeah, no, there is something going on with that whole story. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but him being a FBI for that long and working for Voice of America. Yeah. I mean, there is something there. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but that's too much.
Yeah, and how they have his handler investigating his son. Is again, I'm sure there's a rule against that. Now,
yeah.
Now, what else are you working on these days?
I don't. I mean, like I said, I've been busy trying to get this podcast with the Open Minds Foundation up and running. And that's sort of taken a lot of time. I haven't done something like that in a while, where it's like you got to come up with a logo and intro music and, it's a fairly large foundation. So it's, you got to work with all sorts of different people. It's like a million emails. So I've been working on that quite a bit. And then, I don't know, I've got a couple really interesting podcasts coming up. I'm going to be talking with Joseph L. Flatley, his new book, Sirhan, or the Hallucinatory Vanguard. And I think you've got a copy of the book as well, Ed. I think you're going to have Joseph on his show. And I also have Judy Revere, who's a Canadian journalist who's been working for many, many years uncovering war crimes committed by Paul Kagame and the Rwandan Patriotic Front, in the Congo, in Rwanda, for many, many years. She has a new book called In Praise of Blood, which is all about the RPF. Their, huge cover-up of genocide, basically, during the Rwandan genocide. And again, there's this rosy image of Paul Kagame and the RPF as liberators, and they were the heroes. And Judy Revere has done really fantastic work exposing a lot of this. So I'm going to have her on my show pretty soon to talk about her new book, and she's really great articles and really fascinating journalist.
Okay, excellent, man. And how can people find you if they want to help you?
You can just go to porkinspolicyreview.com, and you can find all my shows are up there. All the guest appearances. I do weekly or daily. Weekly. What am I saying? Weekly appearance on Chuck Ocelli's show every Tuesday night. So you can find that there. You can find my Patreon. You can find all the interviews I do. I'm on Patreon if you want to support me. Patreon.com/Pearse Redmond. I just released the bonus podcast for this month, again, just at the end of the month, which is becoming a trend. But I had our good friend Tom Secker on the show. We talked about Cambridge Analytica, all of the news about CA and their connections. We went, ranted about the purple-haired whistleblower Christopher Wiley and all of our problems with him. Really fun show. Talking about Alexander Nix and the way that the liberal media has kind of covered Cambridge Analytica in a slightly kind of, I think, a skewed way. So, all of that you can find at porkinspolicyreview.com.
Oh, boy, you're busy as hell, huh? You got the Chuck Ocelli, and now there's a new thing with the Open Minds.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out how you balance all that, and I have a new girlfriend too, so that's takes up the rest of my time.
Yeah, sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad.
Yeah.
All right, listen, Pearse, thank you so much for giving me some time here. Since you're so busy, man, I had no idea you were doing all this. I thought you were just sitting around doing nothing.
Well, no, anytime, man.
Okay.
I'll always make time for your show.
Thank you very much, man. Pearse Redmond, Porkins Policy Radio. I'll catch you later.
Go.
All right, so there we get Pearse Redmond. And if you like the show, be sure and check out OppermanReport.com, where we have our members section. There's a lot of exclusive content. We're talking about that Steve Bannon porn and meth house. Got that in there exclusively in there, and you can check that out. If you want to, you can sign up for like $6 a month or $20 for 3 months. Otherwise, if you want to contact me for a discount for a yearly membership, you email me at oppermanreport@gmail.com, and I'll give you 13 months for $60. A deal of a lifetime. You can't beat that. So that's what at oppermanreport.com. Also, advertising opportunities. If you want to advertise here, I've been really pushing that getthetea.com, and everybody I talk to now has been buying the tea, so I know it's working. All the loyal listeners, So check out oppermanreport@gmail.com if you want to advertise. We'll get you on. We're on from Monday to Saturday, 6 days a week. Drive time on AM radio. Covers 2 million population. And then we're on Friday nights and Saturday nights on several internet stations, repeated over and over. Then it's archived over and over and over and over again. Plays forever on YouTube and Spreaker and iHeart and iTunes and Podbean and Podroll and Podbod and all that pod. Every kind of pod place. It just kind of just takes a show without asking it. I don't even know how they do it, how they get the show. Or some people handing them my RSS feed. like Stitcher and stuff like that. So all this stuff you can do at operamanreport.com. Check them out. If you have anything, you want a guest, you have a guest suggestion, you want to email me, operamanreport@gmail.com. Always happy to have a guest suggestion.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99.